Well, thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for being here for our State of the Schools, and thank you for taking an active interest of where we're at, where we're going as a school district. Before we begin with the presentation, there's a few folks that I would like to introduce and recognize. First of all, our Board of Education, Board President Carl Naso, Vice President Colonel Duke Evans, and board members George Grozan, Jane Ludwig, and Richard Micco. If you can join me in a round of applause for all the work that they do on behalf of our district. I'd also like to introduce and thank our district treasurer, George Anagnostou, who's here tonight and works tirelessly with me. And also our city officials. Mayor Persiak, I appreciate your leadership and your guidance and your collaboration, and I appreciate you being here tonight. Please, see the mayor. And I believe we also have all of our city council members here today. Council President Joe DeMio, Council President Pro Tem James Carbone, and council members Matt Schoenhut, Matt Patton, Ann Roth, Kelly Kosick, and Gordon Short. Please give them a round of applause for all that they do for our city. So what we are going to do tonight is to share our story as a school district, to talk about our past, what's happened, but also where we've come from our past and what's currently happening in our school districts. And then a look towards the future, a future that we need to partner with you to see what that will be for the children of Strongsville. And that part of engaging and keeping engaged in our partnership is key to our success as a school district. And as you were coming in, you may have had some of my colleagues passing out note cards to you. If you don't have a note card, they'll be wandering around. They can get it to you during the presentation. If you do have a note card and throughout the presentation, if you have a question, please write it down. Later on in the evening, we'll ask to collect those, and they will be asking those questions of me at the end of the presentation so we can have a dialogue, so we can engage you, and we can make sure that you have accurate, factual information about where we're going as a school district. But our destination has been clear. When I became superintendent 4 years ago, I came and shared with the board a plan that I called our Strong Schools 2020 plan. And what that plan stated was a 5-year vision of where we're going to go as a district to ensure that we have an exceptional district, an innovative district that matches the values and needs and desires of our community. And by 2020, in just a few years from now, that we would rank amongst the top premier districts in not only the region, but across the state. And the way we're going to do this is through living our mission each and every day, the path that we put forth to achieve our destination by ensuring all students are successful in school and in life. By making sure not only that we hire outstanding staff, but we develop a premier staff to provide those services each and every day. And that they're able to provide those services and resources and supports and facilities in an environment that meet the educational needs of students in the 21st century. And we can't do this alone. This has to be done in a true partnership with our parents, with our students, with our staff, and with our community. So we're here tonight to talk about the future of Strongsville City Schools. And the decision we have to make together as a collective group is what quality of school district, what quality of education, what quality of opportunities do we want for the children of Strongsville? And so I think it's important that we start this conversation by looking at our past. And some of the things I'm going to talk tonight with you about are not all that comfortable, but they're a part of our past, they're a part of our story. But as this quote from Winston Churchill states, if we open up a quarrel between our past and present, then we will surely lose the future. So let's take a look at our past and some of the questions that we receive from our community about our past. And one of those questions and one of the things that we talk about is our enrollment has declined. So I get a question an awful lot. If your enrollment has declined, why do you need increased operating funds? So here, as you can see on this chart, is our enrollment trend from 2007. Since 2007, we were a little bit above 7,000 students, and in 2018, based on our October count, we're a little over 5,300 students. Yes, we have less students in our school district than we did, not because students are going elsewhere to be educated, but we simply have less school-age children in Strongsville. Our 65 and over population is growing, our 5 to 18 population is decreasing, and we've seen enrollment declines. But at the same time as our enrollment has declined, we have also have other issues or other factors that we have to consider. Some people talk and think that because you have less students, it should automatically mean less teachers. And yes, that's true at the high school level. But when you talk about neighborhood elementary schools, and we look at teaming at the middle school, it is not a one-to-one ratio. So what this slide is giving you an example of is at Chapman Elementary. We could have 117 students withdraw from Chapman Elementary School today, and I would still need the same exact number of teachers and staff that I have today and I would tomorrow. When you take a look at class sizes, and right now at Chapman Elementary School, there's 60 kids in 5th grade, and we have a class cap of 30. I have 2 teachers in Chapman 5th grade. 29 students in 5th grade could go and get their education elsewhere. I still need 2 teachers to maintain that class size cap. So as you total these all up, we can have almost 500 elementary students withdraw from our district today, and we would still need the same number of elementary teachers as we have right now. At the middle school, the building we're standing and sitting in right now, we could have 190 students go and get their education elsewhere and still need the same number of teams, same number of staff to provide those educational services. And while this is happening, and while enrollment is declining, and why it's not a one-to-one factor, we also have to take into consideration that our state funding has declined. This is a factor that is outside of our control. I have met with Representative Patton and Senator Dolan and Representative DeVilla before that. We've testified at the state level, and we've made progress, and we've made changes, and the government vetoed those changes. And so this is our reality. Since 2007, we have been reduced $8.6 million a year in state funding. So although our enrollment has declined, our state funding has declined also. Here's our local funding. We get funding not only from the state level, but from our property taxes. And as you can see, the line goes up and down a little bit, but on average, our revenue for the school districts from fiscal year 2008 to 19 is roughly $48 million of tax collections that we have. Now let me explain a few parts of this graph. You may notice right here that there's a big jump. This is the last time we passed an operating levy. In 2007, we passed an operating levy. When you pass an operating levy in 2007, you collect those tax dollars in 2008, and you can see how school funding works very clearly on this graph. It jumps up, and then it stays relatively flat. Now, why does that line move a little bit? It moves a little bit because businesses come into Strongsville and new homes are built, and we get a little more tax dollars. But businesses go under. Businesses get tax-exempt status, and we lose those tax dollars. And one of the other things that I want to show you or talk about is that last bullet point. I think I've got a little laser here, right there. Why do we have that jump and that decline? As many of you know, the tax law recently changed. We went from itemized deductions to non-itemized deductions, or a single deduction. And so what we had happen in our district is people paid their property taxes in 2017 at a 100% rate, because they wanted the itemized deductions. And so we had greater tax collections in fiscal year 18 based on our calendar year than we did in the next tax collection, which is in fiscal year 19. So this is a timing issue, and if it wouldn't have been for that timing issue, you would have seen a more flat line. So when you put these two things together, you can see as a school district, we have proactively worked to reduce our expenses, the red line at the bottom, while our revenues and state and funding and local funding and all revenues put together have stayed relatively flat. And we've worked proactively to do that, but as you can see at the end of the graph, that we are on a point where we are beginning to deficit spend. And that is not sustainable for the financial future of our district. So since 2007, what have we done, and why, if enrollment's going down, why do we need money now? It's because inflation rates have continued to rise 21% since that point in time. Costs of utilities, goods, and services has also gone up, and there's new technologies that are necessary. In 2007, technology was a want. It was a nice to have. In 2018, it's a need for the future of our students. We also have state mandates that we have to put into place. I know if you have parents or if you have children in our district and you're a parent, one of the great aspects of public education is your child can participate in College Credit Plus. That means they can take college-level courses in high school, get college credit, and some go to college with the freshman or sophomore year completely taken care of. That is not free. It's free to you as a community member. It's free to you as a parent. But as a school district, we are required to pay for the tuition. We are required to pay for the textbooks. And that is an additional expense that is not funded by the state, but funded by our tax dollars. And since that time, as I've shared, we've had a reduction in state funding and local funding in $9 million, but we've also reduced our staffing. We didn't just leave our enrollment decline alone. We reduced our staffing by 22%. And if you compare our budget from 2007 for staffing, for costs and benefits, to 2018 or 19, it's $5 million less. And so the other thing that we need to talk about when we look at our past is what financial controls does the district have in place? We had an employee that stole from us. And that was devastating to us as a district. But I want to assure you that we had strong internal controls before that theft happened. When you take a look at what happened to our district and the employee that stole from us, prior to that being in place, we had a state reporting system so people could report fraud that was happening. We had oversight where our administrators were overseeing and approving all purchases. Our treasurer was another layer of approval process for those purchases. And when those purchases came into the district, we had other people documenting and confirming their receipt. And we also completed annual inventories in our district. But unfortunately, we're a large organization. And we had one employee that decided that he would find a loophole in our controls. And so when we talked to the auditor gave us feedback and they said, you have good controls in place, but unfortunately, there's people that will always find a way around those controls. And we had an administrator that oversaw those, and unfortunately, he was deceived by that employee and made approvals for those purchase orders, but that administrator no longer works for our school district. It's also important to note that every material that was stolen was brought back to the district, and if it couldn't be brought back, the employee that stole from us paid full restitution. The district lost no dollars because of the threat or the theft. And then finally, as frustrating as it may be and as disappointing that we had an employee break our trust, the process worked. There was a theft. The fraud hotline was called. It was reported to the auditors. It was investigated, and the former employee is now in jail. And so what have we done to not just say, hey, we had good controls, but how are we going to enhance that to make sure that we're taking care of the tax dollars that you bless us with? So in green, you can see not only do we have a state fraud hotline, but we created an internal fraud hotline as well. We added layers to our approval process. We're not just the principals and supervisors, but after that, it comes to the directors. Then after that, I approve almost every purchase that goes on in the district. And after that, it goes to the treasurer again, and we put into place a new electronic system versus a paper system to track all of our purchases. We still have oversight as these materials come in, and we did a full physical asset inventory. Every item in our district that qualified to be inventoried was re-tagged, put into a new software system that's going to manage our assets and inventory moving forward. And so how are we being fiscally responsible? I can sit here and tell you what a wonderful job I think our treasurer, George Anagnostou, does, but I think his awards speak for themselves. On a national level, for 3 years in a row, he's won the Meritorious National Budget Award, one of only 4 districts in the entire state of Ohio to be recognized, and this award exemplifies exceptional skill in budgeting and transparency in the budgeting process with the development of a reader-friendly budget process. Secondly, for 2 years in a row, and the third will be coming soon, the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting exemplifies exceptional skill in financial reporting, credibility, and transparency. This is not Strongsville City Schools employees saying that we have strong financial practices and transparency in budgeting. It's national and state level organizations that are recognizing our treasurer for his efforts. So in the past 11 years, we've worked proactively to reduce expenses. We've worked to put those controls into place. And some of the things that we've done is we've reduced $2.1 million annually in our budget by asking all of our employees to contribute more to their health care plans and switching to a self-insured program. We've consolidated buildings. We've reduced staffing to save $5 million a year. We've eliminated retirement incentives for all employees in the district, saving $400,000 a year. And as most of us know, we've implemented phase 1 reductions that will be put into place regardless of a levy that will continue to reduce our budget this year and moving forward by $1.1 million a year, all while protecting and preserving the services, opportunities, and resources that make a Strongsville education a premier education for our students. we had a strike. 6 years ago, we had a strike in our district. And I want to personally apologize to our community, our parents, and our students for what our district put this community through. It was a difficult time for us, and I was an assistant superintendent at that time. But this is a part of our past, this is a part of our story, but the strike does not define who we are or what we are doing or what we've achieved in the present. And so as we take a look at what happened during that strike, but moving forward, the relationships, the collaboration, the focus on the future, the focus for the betterment of our district and our students, we have come a long way in those 6 years. And so one of the things that I hear from our community a lot is that our teachers are highly, highly compensated. So I wanted to find out, is that true? Where do our teachers rank in our neighboring districts that are around us? Where do they rank where the Ohio Department of Education says are similar to the state of Ohio? Where do we rank in other districts that our community compares us to, aspires us to be, drives us to work towards for improvement? These are the school districts we took a look at. And we took a look at comparable data for all of 2018, current 2018-19 teacher contracts, except for 2 where I can only get the 17-18 contract. So what cost of living did our teachers receive this year? They received a 1% raise. If you look at all other 18 districts, 1% only occurred by 3 other districts. The average cost of living increase of comparable districts is 2%. Our teachers received 1%. In school, when you look at the salary rates, we have bachelor's degrees, and so the typical beginning teacher has a bachelor's degree. What's the minimum salary you can make in Strongsville? If you compare it to all the districts that we are compared to, Strongsville City Schools ranks 16 out of 18 school districts. What's the maximum amount a teacher can make with a bachelor's degree? 17th out of 18 school districts. A lot of our teachers have a master's degree, so what can they earn in Strongsville City Schools with a master's degree? 14th out of 18 school districts. What about the top end? I'm sure at the top end they're making more money at the maximum amount when they're a very veteran teacher. 17th out of 18 in our comparable districts. So when we take a look at the salary that our teachers are making and the rates against comparable districts that are in the area or that we aspire to be, it must be that if it's not in their salary, then it must be in their benefit package. Well, let's take a look at their benefit package. What this blue graph says right here is 55% of the school districts in the comparable group are paying 15% of their medical premium. Now, I completely understand 15% is a great benefit package comparing what that benefit rate is in the private sector. And we understand that as educators. But we also need to look at what is the industry we're in and what is the comparable group. And 55% of the school districts surveyed have the same benefit package as our Strongsville teachers, which is 15%. 28% of the school districts pay less. 17% pay more, but it's important to note that that 17% is 3 school districts and 2 of them pay 16%. If we take a look at our vision program, although 72% of the comparable districts have a school-funded vision program, our teachers do not. If our teachers want to have a vision program, they pay 100% in to have that vision program. And although all of the schools in the district surveyed, 100% have dental insurance, our district teachers, the dental insurance that they receive is 2 cleanings and an x-ray. Anything above that is paid 100% by our teachers. So if the benefits are comparable, the salary is conservative, what about retirement? Our teachers pay 100% of the teacher portion of their retirement. That wasn't true a handful of years ago. But we worked together and we collaborated, and they pay the full 14% of their pension, just like the majority of the other school districts. Now, by state law, we as a school district pay a portion. If you have a 401k, you may have an employer match. By law, the district has to pay a portion of the STRS. But the employee portion in the state of Ohio is 14%, and our teachers pay 100% of that. So as we take a look at the conservative salary and the comparable benefits that we have in striving to be a premier district, we've seen that our teachers have exceeded expectations. The state report card is one of those aspects that we get to compared by a lot. In the last school year, we improved our report card by 8 letter grades, and we passed 14 more building indicators. We rank in the top 8% of all school districts in the state of Ohio based on a GPA calculation for our state test scores. Our ACTs are higher than the national average. We have over 1,100 students taking advanced placement courses at our high school, while still 70% of them getting a 3 or better, which means they can earn college credit. And it's not just about tests, it's not just about ACTs, it's not just about advanced placement courses. It's about we're developing well-rounded students, whether they're on the path to college or career, to find success because of that strong partnership we have. And so as we look at the graphs that detail the conservative rates that we pay our teachers, this is the one that compares us to those other premier districts in terms of our state test performance. So we're not at the top, and there's room to grow. But although we're paying a conservative rate, we are getting a tremendous value by being in the top 0.5% or the top edge of our school performance based on these measures. And so as we take a look at where we've been in our past, it's important to start taking a look at where we're going in our present. And it's important to know that our past is a part of our story, but it doesn't define who we are in our present. And there's no one better to tell our story about our present than our teachers and our students. So I welcome to our stage my colleagues that do the work on a daily basis to share their story about what's happening in our district.
Good evening. My name is Kate Martin, and I'm a speech and language pathologist. I am not only an employee of the district, but also a proud graduate of Strongsville City Schools. Every week, I have the opportunity to co-teach a lesson with the first grade teachers. Last week, we read Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day in order to learn about different emotions. We read the book, looked at pictures, and the students had 5 minutes to talk to their partners before we, as a class, made a list of the events in the story. As their assignment, the students had to teach Alexander how to cope with one of the events in his no good, very bad day. I provided them with the option to either write a letter to Alexander or let me know if they had another idea they would like to try. At the end of the lesson, I overheard one of the first grade students say, "That was so cool, and I didn't even have to write." He may have gotten out of having to write, but he successfully demonstrated his understanding of communicating emotions and using tools to cope with those feelings. This is universal design for learning. Universal design for learning is so important because it is possible that a child like the one mentioned may have missed the learning opportunity entirely because he was forced to complete a task that was not in line with how he best learns. Universal design for learning, or UDL, is an approach for educating our students that emphasizes our students' individualized needs to maximize learning for all students. Rather than delivering lessons in a one-size-fits-all manner, we empower our students to best express their mastery of the content in a way that is best for them. It means that our students get to make choices in order to remain engaged in lessons. It means our students use visuals, auditory, and digital materials to increase their understanding of the content. It means that our students share what they have learned in a way that they are most confident. UDL is the most inclusive and effective way to teach our children and provide the strong educational foundation that has become synonymous with Strongsville City Schools. As someone who grew up in Strongsville, attended Strongsville City Schools, and is now working and raising a family in Strongsville, I am passionate about maintaining a tradition of excellence in our school system. Professionally, the levy is important to me because I want to ensure that we have the best possible tools and resources for the children and families we work with. Personally, and as a Strongsville taxpayer, the levy is a critical investment in our community and our children's future, including my own children, who will be proud Mustangs. In order to maintain our role as a premier district, it is essential that we continue to have a supportive community so that we can continue to provide the level of education that our children deserve.
Hi, my name is Debbie Gonzi. Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Debbie Ganzi, and I teach general and vocal music at Whitney Elementary School. I love my job because it's so much more than a job, just as what goes on in my classroom is so much more than music. I love giving my students a place to belong and find success. Providing our students with music, art, and physical education is giving them a chance to engage their brain in a way that they do not get to practice during other parts of their academic day. Being a student in Strongsville in 2019 is very different than when I was in school. So let me give you a sneak peek into my classroom. As a music teacher, I teach math, as our students are discovering patterns that form rhythms which must fit into a grouping of beats. I teach reading. Every time we sing a song, students approach reading in a unique way. I teach international studies, as my students travel the globe and learn about the music of different cultures. I teach history, as my students learn the preamble to the Constitution, the Star-Spangled Banner, and the Order of the Presidents of the United States. I teach respect and honor, as we celebrate our veterans each Veterans Day. I teach collaboration and drum circles, as we learn how every part has a role and how to make space for every part to be heard. Students learn how to work with all people. I teach creative thinking and time management skills as we work on projects and prepare for performances. I teach public speaking as students learn how to use a microphone and how to speak and perform in front of an audience. I teach resilience as students learn how to fail and what to do for the next performance so that failure doesn't happen again. As a teacher and a Strongsville City Schools parent, I know that the well-rounded experiences my own children gained in our district have made them more successful in their employment and pursuits of higher education. Their lives were not only shaped by their awesome classroom teachers, but also the incredible fine arts and sports programs that we have in our district. I want every child in our community to have those same opportunities that will help them develop those critical and creative thinking skills, the ability to problem solve, and to work towards a goal, whether it be alone or on a team. While my passion is focused on music, I have personally and professionally seen the benefits of a cohesive and complete education that includes music, art, and physical education. Please keep these programs alive in our district. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Homa, a senior at Strongsville High School. As a senior, I truly know and appreciate the value of a Strongsville City Schools education. I strongly believe school is valuable and learning is timeless. And our school, the district, has taught me to become something more. As I'm getting ready to say goodbye, I can't help to reflect on all that embodies Strongsville City Schools. Nothing has helped me more than the values I have developed along the way. Values have a great impact on our inner world. They define us. They form the foundation of our character and leave us with a lasting impact on some of the most important things in life. I have benefited strongest from being a member of DECA and my marketing classes. DECA has helped me build relationships, learn project management, and has provided me the opportunity to compete against other people. This real-world business experience has helped me prepare for life beyond high school. Another value is working with others. The ability to effectively interact, cooperate, collaborate, and manage conflicts with other people in order to complete tasks and achieve goals. I have also learned to speak publicly, not only in DECA, but through various classes. A Strongsville education allows opportunities for getting involved, trying new things, meeting people, and having endless experience which improves soft skills. With all this in mind, a value I hold close to home is leadership. Never would I have ever thought leadership was so important. It turns out it has shaped me into who I am today. Being a representative of student council, being the project manager for DECA to plan the winter formal dance, and being voted to be our senior class president has opened my eyes and taught me to take in the concept of responsibility. I have joined multiple other clubs and have had exposure to a variety of classes to release my leadership abilities. I have become more responsible by doing so. The last and most important value I have learned through the District of Strongsville is growth. Growing happens over a period of time, and I can honestly say that throughout all my years, I have grown tremendously. Strongsville City Schools has provided me with very important values of relationships, adaptability, leadership, and growth in which I can carry on wherever life takes me.
Good evening. My name is Christina Potter, and I teach German at the high school. It is my honor to be able to speak with you tonight about our district and my experiences here at Strongsville. As a 14-year veteran teacher in this district, I've had firsthand experience of the high-quality school system that is Strongsville City Schools. Our teachers are dedicated to each and every one of our students. On countless nights, I've seen teachers working late in their classrooms, writing letters of recommendations, tutoring students, advising clubs, and meeting with parents. Many of my colleagues actively seek, in their free time, additional training and education to enhance their classroom environment and their students' learning. The strategies they learn help them prepare their students to meet the needs for further education and/or establish work skills needed in the 21st century, because they know that education is a lifelong process that does not end with graduation. I personally believe that we provide a well-rounded education through our strong academic course offerings and our extracurricular activities. These activities provide opportunities for students to be creative and express themselves in a variety of ways. Involvement in clubs, arts, and sports allows students to grow and develop into marketable employees. I would hate to see any of these elements be eliminated from our district. Strongsville City Schools has much to offer its students, parents, and community. Many factors contribute to helping our children become productive adults. We strive on a daily basis to provide a high quality of education for all of our students, no matter what their career paths are. Our team of passionate teachers supports staff and administrators are involved and work together, pushing each other and our students to be the best they can be. We are focused on the learning and growth of every single student. We treat all students as individuals, challenge them beyond their expectations, engage their minds and their imagination while instilling confidence and increasing their potential to succeed in school and in life. A passion for excellence is the driving force each and every day here at Strongsville. I hope we can continue this level of educational excellence for many more years to come. As a homeowner, I understand the desire not to want to pay any more taxes. As a parent, I understand being torn between expenses and wanting the best for your child. As a teacher, I say to you, please understand that this levy is not a want, but a dire need. I ask for the future of the children and the community that you continue to support our schools and our support our students and Strongsville City Schools. Thank you.
My name is Kristen, and I'm a freshman at Strongsville High School, and I would like to share with you what it truly means to have a Strongsville education. If one word were to be used to describe a Strongsville education, the word would be opportunity, because Strongsville allows students to choose their own path and decide for themselves what they want to study. At SHS, students get to explore numerous career paths represented by over 150 courses offered, covering a broad range of topics like engineering, journalism, and being in the ROTC. If you have a passion for a certain career or field, SHS is sure to have a class to suit that interest. On the other hand, if you don't know what you want to go into, Strongsville provides you the opportunity to explore options and discover whatever is best for you. In addition to offering a variety of classes topic-wise, Strongsville also gives its students the opportunity to academically challenge themselves at whatever level they are comfortable. For those who want to go beyond what regular and honors high school courses do, they can choose amongst the 26 AP courses offered and have a taste of what it's like to tackle college curriculum. This encourages students to grow academically and never stop challenging themselves or settle for an easy class. Such high level of academic rigor is one of the many qualities that make Strongsville unique, which is why it is imperative that these standards are maintained. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Melissa Moon, and I'm an art teacher at the high school. Today at Strongsville High School, over 965 students further their education in the visual and musical arts. Half of our high school population is currently benefiting from our premier arts and music programs. When I traveled from colleague to get this data, I noticed something more important than that number. I saw students from the jazz ensemble practicing after school. I saw the display cases filled with the work from our art students. I saw musical rehearsals in action. and I saw evidence all around the school of the benefits of our opportunities and programs. I was so proud of my students, my colleagues, and my role in this district. Albert Einstein said, "It is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken joy in creative expression and knowledge." That is what we do as art teachers for our students every day. For some students, taking a class in the arts is an opportunity to try something new. For others, it's their first step towards a career in the visual arts. The arts are a natural place where students can develop their creativity that they are born with. It's a skill that serves our students well in an ever-changing world. For many of our students, art is their thing. It's a reason they get excited to come to school. It is an outlet for self-expression and communication. They are able to develop friendships over a shared interest, and they can develop parts of their brain that only an education in the arts can provide. In the past 6 years, I've been blessed to work with a community that is so supportive of its students, particularly the students of the art programs. From the audiences at the winter concerts, to the support at the annual art show, to the stands filled with marching Mustang pride at Friday night games, the community of Strongsville shows up and they support their students. I believe in our students. I believe in what we're teaching. It is difficult to think that a levy first and foremost affects the well-beings and opportunities of our students. The services and programming we offer adds value to their lives, and I'd be sad to see these opportunities reduced due to financial constraints. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Vardhan Shah, and I'm a sophomore at Strongsville High School, and I'm part of the music program there. Let's begin with music in SHS generally. Today, our district has a stellar music program that is the envy of schools all around Northeast Ohio. We run a fleet of 4 high school orchestras, one of which you might have heard today. We have a marching band, 3 concert bands, and 2 jazz bands. We have additionally 4 choirs plus a show choir. Hundreds of students take part in these ensembles each year. But why does this matter? Why do so many people, a vast majority of which are not going into the arts as their career field, choose to partake in the arts at SHS? Well, it does clearly matter to the students. After almost every single school day, you will see students playing in the various rooms in the music wing and on stage. Many of these students willingly take part in 2-hour-long rehearsals or are playing without a director even present or supervising. In peak seasons, you can't even find a place to practice. The whole place is packed, full. These students play not because of some external motivation, some other factor motivating them to play. They play for the love of what they do. What music does for students is provide an experience where they are not limited to the content of their class. In all art classrooms, there is always room to do better, to do more, to improve. There is no such thing as you ace that performance, because there's always something to learn, something to improve, something to do. The arts teach people who normally may not have to work very hard in their classes to work hard. The arts teach collaboration, cooperation, and discipline to play together as a group. The arts teach that even after putting an immense amount of work, sometimes things just don't go right, a lesson difficult to find in other places. The arts teach that there will always be a bigger fish or a bigger pond. The arts matter, not just for the sake of themselves, but for society. Societies are built on music and art. They're also built on the hard work that the arts teach. There's a reason that students in music are more successful on standardized tests, score better on both math and English portions, and have improved vocabularies. Keep music in our schools and watch our students prosper and bloom. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Andrea Zach, and I'm an intervention specialist here at Whitney Elementary School. The children of Strongsville are our future. These children will be our teachers, doctors, accountants, police officers, dentists, and even hold jobs in fields of technology that have not even been created yet. These children will need to be independent thinkers, compassionate and productive members of our community. We need to do all that we can for our children now so they can become successful adults. There are 611 school districts in the state of Ohio. I'm sure a student could get a decent education at most of these 611 school districts. You've heard from my colleagues tonight about how we meet students' academic needs, but what really sets us apart here in Strongsville and here in our district are our people. People like Mrs. Havel and Mrs. Laux, who tutor students before school to help them get ahead. People like Mr. Haynes, who instead of planning or doing paperwork when the students are dismissed, helps them in his classroom while they're waiting for their buses. People like Mr. Stacco, who spends time and money out of his own pocket to make the first day of school truly magical. People like Cindy Bailey, who buys students shoes for PE when they do not have them, or even clothes to be warm in the winter. People like our PTA, who log thousands of hours each year volunteering time to support our programs and initiatives. My life's work is education. I want to be great at my profession and have an impact on the children I teach. Just like my coworkers I mentioned before, in order to excel, we need the proper tools, technology, colleagues, updated curriculum, and to have a safe environment. Personally, it breaks my heart to think that any child in this district would be denied the tools, supports, and opportunities that would allow them to excel and reach their full potential. I wouldn't want that for my own child, and I don't want that for my students. The amount being requested is a small price to pay for our future. Just as we would expect doctors to have up-to-date tools to use with patients, or athletes to have proper equipment, we need proper tools to educate our future. According to Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, a goal without a plan is just a wish. We need you to support our plan for a strong and bright future by continuing to support our goal of inspiring and empowering our students so they can achieve their goals. There is no better investment.
Good evening. My name is Peggy Comets. I'm a speech-language therapist at Chapman Elementary. I've worked in the district since 1995. I've lived in Strongsville since 1987. I am a senior citizen. My very supportive husband in the audience is a retired senior. I have two sons who graduated from Strongsville City Schools. One son is a businessman in Chicago, and one is a high school math teacher in New York City. As a public school, Strongsville has the responsibility and proudly serves all learners. Our goal is to provide the knowledge, strategies, and skills that allows every student to be a productive and caring adult. We are truly a diverse learning community. Walk into any of our buildings and you will see that no two students are the same. Each student from preschool to the high school brings unique learning styles and skills. We have members of our learning community who have physical, communication, and learning challenges. We have English language learners, and we have students who excel and have exceptional academic, athletic, and artistic skills. Our challenge as Strongsville City Schools, board members, educators, teachers, administrators, support staff, and parents is to work together to teach, nurture, and find creative ways to motivate, engage all students so they can reach their full potential. Imagine a classroom where some students are using a communication device, some students are using a Chromebook to write an opinion, some students are standing while working, and some students are verbally providing a response. all on the same topic. Imagine a learning community where teachers are co-teaching lessons and continuously reevaluating how to reach every student. Imagine a learning community that combines state-of-the-art technology and old-school hands-on learning activities, such as cooking and makerspace to teach math, science, and reading. This is Strongsville City Schools. This educational challenge is not an easy one. It can be exhausting, exhilarating, and humbling. It takes energy, patience, persistence, financial resources, and the willingness to listen and step outside your comfort zone. Personally, the opportunity for me to see all students experience the joy of learning while working with families, highly qualified teachers, professionals, and amazing support staff is why I love and continue to do this job. Continuing to provide this quality education will impact our city, my city, the city of Strongsville, in a positive way. These are our kids, this is our city, and our future. Thank you very much.
Thank you to our staff and our students for sharing their stories on where we're currently at in our school district and the growth that we've had. And so now we've talked about our past, we've looked at our present, and it's time to start looking at where do we want to go as a school district in the future. And we have a financial reality, and we need to partner with you as our community to see what that future will be. Because as I said at the beginning, our reality is starting this school year, we will be deficit spending. So whether you're a homeowner, a parent, a business owner, an employee, a school district, this is not financially sustainable. And so what we have to look at is how can we continue to proactively address our deficit as we take a look at our final cash balance, which in fiscal year 2023 is going to be in the negative. We have worked proactively, we have worked to cut costs, we have tightened our belts, we have done everything possible we can to preserve a Strongsville education, but we're at a point where we can't continue to provide the same programs and services and supports that our students need and deserve and our community expects with our current financial constraints. So unfortunately in the state of Ohio, in law, there's really only two options. Either generate additional operating revenue and reduce expenses. And generating new operating levy or revenue means new taxes. And so we've cut expenditures, we've continued to cut, we've put into place additional reductions, but we're at a point where we need your support as a community. And we listened to your feedback. We put an issue on the ballot in November and it failed. And so we got together focus groups of community members, of parents and staff and said, how can we do better? How can we meet your needs and your expectations and work together with you as the community? And because of those conversations, because of that collaboration, because of those discussions, we made some changes. We took our levy from a continuous or permanent levy and made it a 5-year limited. You will have a choice every 5 years as to the job we're doing. Are we spending the wonderful tax dollars that you're giving us in the most prudent manner? We also heard that the 7.9 mil levy was too large of an ask for the community. So we reduced it. We reduced it to 5.9 mils, which means we are going to this levy will generate less revenue, $9.3 million, so we made further reductions. We made further reductions of $1.1 million to address that gap. We can't address it completely without negatively impacting our students, so that means that this levy will not last as long as a 7.9 mil levy would. And that means for $100,000 evaluation on a monthly rate, it'll cost a Strongsville taxpayer $17.21 a month. The average homeowner in Strongsville is in a $200,000 home. That's $413 per year to have the quality education that we've heard from our students and our staff. And so with that, we have to look at how do we also reduce cost. We've reduced $1.1 million of expenditures, but if the levy continues to fail, we need to continue to reduce costs so we can reduce that deficit deficit spending. And so we put into place 2 additional phases of reductions moving forward. If the levy does not pass on May 7, 2019, we will implement phase 2 reductions, and I'll share what those are in a minute. And if the levy continues to fail until November 2019, May of 2020, we have another set of reductions that are going to put the district in a place of where it is a shell of what it currently is today. And so as we've talked about these phase 1 reductions, what it means to Strongsville City Schools and the opportunities for our students is we will have 3 less middle school sports teams. We will reduce all of our budgets across the district by 10%. We will have less guidance counseling services supporting the mental health and educational needs of our kids. We will not update our resources by delaying purchases of textbooks. 9 of our staff members will lose their jobs, and 40 will see a reduction of days and hours, some up to 17% of their work. Even with those reductions, even with those proactive cost savings, it does not change our financial outlook. We still have a negative cash balance in 2023. Phase 1 is not enough for the financial future of our district. And so we have a choice in May. Our community has a choice in May to take a look at what future do we want for the city of Strongsville. We have the option to put support behind the schools, to continue to support the quality education that this community has supported in the past, and eliminate any future reductions of opportunities and services to our students. And if the levy passes in May, you will see that our financial forecast has a much brighter future. That we're not looking to add, we're not looking to extend, we're looking to preserve and protect the opportunities that we have, and that will give our school district 5 additional years of financial stability. As we take a look at the governor deciding on a new biennium budget, what state funding is going to be the next 2 years for our school district? We need secure and predictable local funding so we can continue to provide the opportunities and services and supports that our students need. But if the community speaks and shares that there is not going to be support of that levy, that means that additional reductions will have to go into place. And those additional reductions include 3 more middle school sports, the elimination of 12 clubs, musicals and plays, increased pay-to-participate fees and rental fees for our instrumental music students that are using school-owned instruments. There will be no field trips, no travel for music groups, no marching bands at away games, and no travel for clubs. We will have to reduce our courses and increase class sizes. We will continue to delay textbooks, and we will continue to delay technology purchases to save dollars. We will begin to reduce transportation for our students in grades 6 to 12 and also our parochial kids. 43 members of our Strongsville City School staff will lose their job. If we do not see a levy passed in May and have to implement these reductions, as devastating as they are to the operations of our district and the experiences and the future of our students, it provides us 1 additional year of financial stability. $3.3 million plus 1.1, $4.3 million gets us 1 additional year. And so we are going to have to continue to ask the voters for their support and put future levies on the ballot. And if that levy in November of 2019 passes, you can see our financial forecast. But I don't want you to get excited about this financial forecast, because this financial forecast, although it looks great and every year is a positive cash balance, we have greatly reduced what it means to get a Strongsville City Schools education. And it's my hope that we don't get to this point to where we are balancing our budget on reductions to our students' opportunities. And so if that levy fails again next school year, in May or November or May, further reductions will be put into place in the 2020-21 school year, including closing our buildings outside of school hours for community groups and PTAs, the elimination of 7th, 8th, and 9th grade athletics. There will no longer be musical performances. You will no longer have the opportunity to hear our wonderful orchestra play outside of the school day. We will have reduced courses, increased class sizes, and students will be spending more time in study hall rather than in classes learning. We will no longer be able to provide gifted services at the elementary level or college credit plus courses in our high school on our campus. We will continue to delay textbook adoptions. Our students at the high school will not have one-to-one technology, and we will further reduce transportation services for all students in the district. And at this time, 84 staff members will lose their jobs, to equate to $5 million in additional cuts. And so as we take a look of where we want to go as a future of our school district and what quality of school district the community of Strongsville wants for our children, I want to share with you a video that I hope tells the story better than I can. As we're sharing this video, some of my colleagues are going to be walking up and down the aisles. If you have a note card that you have a question that you would like answered, please pass it to the end, and they will collect it so we can have a question and answer later on in the presentation.
So my freshman year, I went to private school and it just wasn't working for me. I felt like I was limited in my academic opportunities, artistic opportunities with athletics. So I came back, and being able to compare, I feel like at Strongsville, it's really my choice. Anything I want to do, I can sort of make my own education and apply any of my skills that I want to. Whereas at other schools, there was sort of like a set idea of what I had to be, what I had to participate in. So just that freedom and just the opportunities here are so much more than what I experienced other places.
My favorite class here at Strongsville Elementary is social studies, because we do all these kind of, like, I love comparing like Aztec technology to our modern technology.
My favorite subject here at Madaski is reading, because we get to do a lot of projects and it's really fun.
My favorite class here at Kinsner is science, because I like doing experiments.
When we looked at where we wanted to live and finally, settle down for good, there really was no discussion about it. Big Strongsville guy, I think anybody that knows me would say that, but at the time, even then, the district was still kind of going through a few issues, but you could see the right people in place to where it was going. And for us, it was very critical to have the kids. We were both public school guys and girls, that we grew up in that system, and we wanted our kids to have that same experience. So with an eye to that, Strongsville was absolutely that choice. It certainly helps that we knew still a lot of people, but I can tell you that even in my neighborhood alone, the number of people that grew up and graduated from Strongsville that have now decided to come back and live in Strongsville to have their kids in the district is huge. Which I think speaks to the education that we all got when we were there and what we want for our kids, going forward.
Yeah, so here at Strongsville, I've experienced the whole range of AP classes and opportunities afforded to students. I'm taking 5 AP classes this year, and last year I was also able to take a high number of AP classes. This year I was able to take AP Lit, AP Comparative Government, BC Calc, AP Euro, and AP Environmental Science, and those classes really afforded me the opportunity to kind of explore what I'm interested in, as well as to explore what I'd be good at in college and give me a baseline for success. And I think it really helped me expand my horizons and expand my capabilities as a student.
So opportunity is the right word. I think that is one of those areas where it's still up to the student, right, to take it, and the family hopefully to wrap around that student, but also for the environment with the teachers and the coaches and the administrators to push not just one, but all the students to try to become better. And there were so many avenues in Strongsville that allowed to do that, and I hope we'll continue to do that, where a lot of districts don't have those, or over time don't fund those.
Strongsville education is different than a lot of other school systems because I feel like a lot of the teachers really, really love what they do, and they love to share what they've learned and their life experiences, and not only are they sitting there teaching, but they also want to teach not only material but life lessons, and I think that's really important.
Will you help support reading at Whitney?
Will you help support Strongsville Middle School music programs?
Will you help support math at Kinsner?
Will you help support advanced placement classes at the high school?
Science classes here at Chapman?
The athletic program at Strongsville.
Writing at Whitney?
Extracurriculars at Strongsville Middle School.
Specials like art, music, and gym here at Chapman. Makerspace and technology here at Madaski Elementary.
Our music programs here at the high school.
The teachers and the students at Soror.
I feel ready to go to college. I didn't think I would feel that way. I thought I'd be nervous. I thought I wouldn't feel ready to be part of the real world. but I feel ready to step into a job interview because of things like DECA. I feel ready to take those college exams because I've had experience here. Everything I feel like I've done here has been for something. There's been a purpose to every class, every single day, every teacher. It hasn't just been learning to learn, it's been learning so I can be what I want to be.
It's amazing how a student can sum it up in one sentence. It's not just learning to learn, it's about learning who I want to be. I love this district, I love what we stand for, and I love where we're going, and I'm asking for your support. Because as we could see, for $35 a day for the average homeowner in Strongsville, for $1 or $35 a month, for $1 a day, we can preserve these opportunities. People often say, what are we paying for? What are we supporting? Where is our money going to? It's about keeping our kids safe by keeping transportation with the levels where it's at now. It's about keeping relevant tools and resources and textbooks and technologies in the hands of our kids. It's about comprehensive courses where kids can explore their learning and giving them class sizes that meet their needs. It's about keeping gifted services in our elementary students' classes and College Credit Plus at the high school level. It's about creating those experiences outside of the classroom and extracurriculars, whether it be student council, Key Club, or the pep band. It's about middle school and freshman athletic teams and no increase to any fees. Traveling to hear our marching band on Friday night, to hear our orchestra, our show choir, and all of our talented musical groups, whether on stage in plays or on stage for performances. Having our community in our buildings and sharing our buildings after school hours. And it's about retaining the high quality and highly developed and highly passionate staff and coaches and teachers and club advisors and support staff and administrators in our district. And so we are at the crossroads for our school district. And our future for our kids and the quality of education and the quality of the school district that we want is up for our community to decide. And I hope and I have faith that you want the same for our children as we all do as school employees. So I thank you for your time. I thank you for your attendance. I thank you for engaging with us in a conversation about the future of the children in Strongsville City Schools. There is no more important investment as we go forward. So I thank you. My colleagues have been collecting questions. There's some microphones out there. We will do a few minutes of questions. If any questions aren't asked or aren't answered, we will be able to answer them. And before people start leaving, I just wanted to share that if you are interested in helping to support our efforts, to support the work we're doing, to share the story of Strongsville City Schools for our upcoming levy, there are volunteers outside of the door. There are tables to sign up for you to get involved in the work that we're doing. So I know Jenny and Andy, I believe, have microphones out there. Start asking some questions I could see how I could do.
Okay. So Dr. Ryba, the first one, please discuss tax abatements such as the Cleveland Clinic and why the city allowed this and maybe other companies to get tax breaks. Does the city not care about the quality of education for our children?
So I can speak on behalf of the school district. And the mayor and I work very closely together, and we have a great partnership. And when we talk about the Cleveland Clinic, that was a partnership between the city and the school district. So there are laws, and there are laws that state certain companies can become tax exempt or can have tax abatements. And the city works hard to make sure that the school district gets its portion, that the school district is made whole when it has TIF or tax incremental financing, that we have the portion that we have. But let's talk about the clinic. The clinic has fought other districts all the way to the Supreme Court and has won that they're a nonprofit entity and they are not paying taxes. And so whether we like that decision or not, or whether we agree with it or not, the Cleveland Clinic has tax-exempt properties in most of the cities around. We are one of the last cities that were getting taxes because the mall owned the property. And so we work tirelessly and hand with the city to make sure that companies or businesses in the city that should be paying taxes are paying taxes to the school district. And so as we talk about the Cleveland Clinic, it was Carl Naso, our board member, and George Anagnostu, our treasurer, and our mayor sitting down around the table with Cleveland Clinic, looking at how we can reduce some of the funds that they've taken due to tax abatements. And because of that work, the school district was able to recoup $1 million of tax refund that we had originally give to the clinic. So that's the power of what the city and the school district is doing together to make sure that businesses are paying their fair share to fund a public education.
Next question, Dr. Ryba. Why are the projected cuts in student services the highest amount? Do parents with children who require extra supports need to worry about losing the aides, support staff, and in the special education department? These are needs, not wants.
So as we took a look at
It's to be continued, sorry.
Okay.
Can we feel confident that these kids, the 650 on those specialized plans, won't fall through the cracks and can leave Strongsville City Schools into a successful adult life? Thank you.
We have to do the best job we can possibly do within the resources that we're given. So as we take a look at our students, whether they need specially designed instruction or special education services or gifted services and every student in between, we have a budget. And so when we take a look at that, we are spending more each year than the revenue we bring in. We have to make tough decisions. I have to make tough decisions, and the board has to approve those tough decisions. And so when we take a look at that, it's not just about one aspect of our school district. It's about how can we save a little bit from every component of our school district to generate the savings that we need. So when you take a look at the $1.1 million of savings in phase one, you will notice that there's very few large numbers. It's $15,000 here, $25,000 there. That gets us to where we need to be. My job as superintendent is to ensure that we're providing the services and supports that every single one of our 5,400 plus students needs and deserves. So as we take a look at these reductions and student services compared to others and compared to other aspects of the district, we've tried to make it as equitable as possible. But we will continue to provide the services. But if I were to stand up to you and say it's not going to have an impact on our students if we get to phase two and phase three, I wouldn't be being honest with you. We are going to do the best job we physically can within the supports and services we can offer. But if we start to reduce that, we cannot recreate what we're able to do right now for our students.
Okay, this next question. I see the teachers are only getting 1% increase. What reductions are the administrators taking?
So the administrators, what the administrators have done is if the levy does not pass in May, myself, the treasurer, all of our administrative staff and leadership staff will take a pay freeze. We will reduce 1.5 positions. And then if the levy continues to fail, we will reduce an additional 3 positions. There are 38 of us in the school district. 38 administrators, and when you take a look at those administrators, you have a building principal. We need a building principal. Whether you like me or not, you need a superintendent. And you need a treasurer. And if you take a look at the way we've staffed administratively our district, we are extremely prudent in the staffing, administrative staffing we have. If you take a look at our curriculum department, we have 1 administrator overseeing the curriculum for an entire school district. If you look at similar districts, you will see a director of curriculum, a coordinator of elementary curriculum, a coordinator of secondary curriculum, a coordinator of gifted services. We have 1 person doing that. So the reductions to the administrative staff will total, not including the salary freezes, 10% of our administrative staff, and a staff that's already reduced. I did not wait for this levy to start looking at our administrative staffing. We've reduced an assistant principal at the high school. We've reduced a coordinator of RTI. We've reduced a supervisor of OPES. I reduced a secretary that worked for me. We've made reductions proactively prior to coming to the community and asking for additional support.
Next question. Why is the music department getting hit so hard? Strongsville schools are known for a strong music program.
Let me first say this. If you go through the phase reductions that I've shared, anyone, wherever your passion is, you can make a case for why we shouldn't have made that reduction. But this is not about, did we reduce arts more than we reduced athletics, more than we reduced advanced placement, more than we reduced administrators or athletics? It's about what do we want collectively for our school district. And our focus should be on the holistic education that we're able to provide, not looking at are we taking more from music or PE or all the various programs. But let me explain the arts, because what is being shared is not accurate. We are reducing staff in the music department because we are overstaffed. We spoke to our music teachers last year and shared with them that we are going to have to make reductions because we don't have as many students in the district to support the music teachers that we have. And so the one key point in all the reductions and what folks are, and it's a valid question and I appreciate it being asked, the experiences that our students have in music this year will be the same experiences they have in music next year. We are reducing a ukulele class at the middle school. Instrumental music will start in 5th grade. It will go to 12th grade. And as Vardon shared, you'll have the same exact opportunities as you did this year. There will be one less music teacher physically working in our district next year than this year. And what that means is we had the benefit of having 2 directors in our large orchestra and band classes. We are not going to have that next year because we had to make tough decisions about reductions. But our arts programs, our music programs, will be the same next year as they are this year if the levy passes.
What can be done to have the new businesses coming into Strongsville to contribute to this issue? Why are businesses getting these tax exemptions that aren't part of this community? Have you given this presentation to those tax exempt businesses?
I'm going to try and remember all that, so catch me up if I miss anything. In terms of the partnerships with the businesses, I believe as a school district we have a very solid partnership with our business community, and that is growing. We as a school district have a business advisory council where we work with our businesses to look at where we're going as a school district and the skills that our students need, but it's also about providing meaningful partnerships. I'll do a plug for Clark Reliance. Clark Reliance is a great partner of the school district. It's helping not only support us with their expertise and their work and their collaboration, but is providing grant dollars to the school district to help enhance the safety of our district. And Clark Reliance is one example of a variety of businesses that we work with that come into our high school that provide internship and job shadowing experiences, that partner with our kids in their senior projects, that give back and want to be a part of what we're doing as a school district. And so in terms of giving this presentation to the business community, I do meet with the Chamber of Commerce. And although not in this cycle, but in October, I did present something similar to our Chamber of Commerce. We will be shortly spending some time, the mayor and I and some other Strongsville business people, inviting our businesses in so we can tell them exactly what's going on in Strongsville City Schools and where we need their help and where we need their collaboration and how we can have a substantial relationship between the both of us. In terms of the tax abatements, that's something that a business or tax exemption, that's something a business can decide to do. And we have opportunities within our structure to go and challenge those tax exemptions. And we take advantage of that, and we do that, and we advocate for the city of Strongsville and the businesses to have them pay their taxes to help fund our schools.
Dr. Ryba, many Ohio schools are affected by reduced state funding, but you don't hear about all of them facing enormous cuts. Why are we?
Well, let me tell you where you are hearing something similar. Solon City Schools, who many people like to compare us to or want us to aspire to, just passed an 8.5 mil levy last year. They passed an 8.5 mil levy for the same reason we have a levy on the ballot. because Joe Regano, their superintendent, and I were both in Columbus testifying in front of the Senate and the House about our reduced tangible personal property tax funding. There's many districts across the state that are in similar situations as we are. And the reason they may not be sharing cuts is they have not gone 11 years without additional funding. We've been able to make those proactive reductions. We've been able to be conservative in our spending. We've been able to offer that premier educational experience and not have to go to the voters every 4 to 5 years like most school districts. We've not been on the ballot for new operating funds for 11 years. So there are other school districts in a similar situation, and those are some of the reasons why you may not have heard or be aware of what they're doing to raise funds like Strongsville City Schools is.
Okay, I'm going to combine a couple of questions here. This person agrees that the teachers and sons and daughters deserve all the best. Is all the money to be raised necessary? Would lower amounts or gradual amounts be better? And then you might want to touch on this. How much is the increase total per year for your house of $350,000 as opposed to last year?
So one of the things that'd be really cool if I knew that number right off the top of my head, right? I'm pretty good at math, but that brings me to a good point. If you go to strongnet.org, our website, and the first thing under the quick links, it says Strongsville City Schools operating levy. And in there, you will find all my presentations. This presentation will be up tomorrow. And one of the things that we have on there is tax rates. You can click on a link and find exactly what the valuation of your house is. There's a difference between market value, what you'd put it on the market for, what Zillow says it is or Realtor.com, and what the county valuation is. That's what you pay taxes on. But in those slides, there's a chart that breaks it down exactly from $100,000 to $400,000 every $25,000 increments. It says this is what it will cost you per day, per month, and per year. And so that resource is out there for you to see exactly the tax increase that this will cost you as a homeowner. Now, I know there was another part to that question that I'm missing. Jenny, was there something else?
Yeah, it's just this person agrees that teachers and sons and daughters deserve the best. Is all the money necessary, all the money that the levy will generate, is all of that really necessary? What about a lower amount or a gradual amount?
So we recommended this, the board approved 5.9 mils, and because we feel it's the lowest amount possible that gives us the greatest long-term benefit. Let me say it this way. If this levy passes, it will be a 5-year limited levy. So that means it will be back on the ballot for renewal in 2024. We have another 5-year limited levy that's out there. It was passed in November of 2016 as a renewal. It will be back on the ballot in 21. Let me correct what I just said. This new one could be on the ballot in 23. So we are already going to be on the ballot, should this levy pass, every 2 years, on 21 and 23, in 26 and 28. If we do a smaller amount that only gets us 3 or 4 years, it's going to put us in the future in a difficult spot by having to ask people to renew an existing levy plus add additional money to it. And if that renewal plus additional money fails, we lose everything. And so now it's not just about short term, it's about the long-term benefit and financial stability of our district. So we chose 5.9 mils strategically because it gives us the greatest length of financial stability at the lowest rate to the taxpayers. Andy or Jenny?
Right here. If the levy does not pass in May and you make the cuts you plan, then the levy passes in November. Will you reinstate the things taken away in May, or are they permanent changes?
It is my goal to recommend to the Board of Education that those cuts would be reinstated. The reason I say that is it's important to understand that when a levy passes, you collect the tax dollars in the next year. So if a levy passes in the calendar year 19, you start collecting in 2020. So that financial forecast I shared would stay the same. But the school district that would be left with those phase 2 reductions is not something we want or need for our students. So it would be my recommendation to the Board of Education, should the May levy fail and the November levy pass, that we would reinstate those phase 2 reductions as soon as we possibly can. Now, I know I didn't go into all of the details of phase 2, but if you go online or saw my email or read it, it's extensive. So there's things that can't be reinstated the very next day. It may take us months to reinstate. If you take a look at transportation in phase 2 being reduced from 1 mile to 1.5 for the middle school, or eliminating transportation for juniors or seniors at the high school and implementing zone busing, designing new bus routes takes time. But it would be my intent to recommend to the board that those phase 2 reductions be reinstated.
If you have pay to play, could we have pay to educate? Say for our gifted program at our elementary level, like some kind of subsidy.
So this is the shortest answer you'll probably ever hear me give. The answer is no, because it's against the law. There is Ohio Revised Code that specifically states what you can charge a fee for. And our country and our state is based on the foundation of a free and appropriate public education. So we cannot charge for services that are a part of the foundation of an education. We can charge for sports, we can charge for workbooks. Those are things we can charge for, but not for our educational services.
If you could change one thing about Strongsville City Schools, what would it be and why?
Don't say the board.
No. You know, I'm going to do a great thing and avoid the question and answer something else. But, you know, if I have a clear view of where this school district is going, and our staff has a vision of where we're going as a school district. And if I could change one thing, it would be to give our parents and our community members, and the 70+% of community members that don't have students in our district, the opportunity to see what I see on a daily basis. To see the education that our students are getting. So you always end with an applause, right? So, but that's what I wish. The education, I've been doing this for almost 20 years. The responsibilities, the challenges, the successes, the scope of responsibility we have in schools today has never been greater. And to see the magic that our administrators, our teachers, and our support staff do on a daily basis with all students that come to our doors, I think is something that I would value that any member of our Strongsville community to witness and appreciate as much as I do.
Okay, this one, this talks about getting hit with the new tax increase and higher water bills and new houses and new businesses that wouldn't increase our income, and being hit with all of these taxes. How can you maybe talk about that?
Well, we understand that there was a lot going on. You know, Strongsville was reevaluated earlier this fall. You all know exactly what your tax bill is now. Some of your tax bills went up, some stayed the same, some possibly went down based on how school funding works. But as we take a look at school funding and all the bills and the taxes, I completely understand. Things are continuing to increase. I have 2 boys that are 11 years old, and my grocery bill is increasing every week. And so as we take a look at those costs, we have to make choices. And yes, we are asking for a significant financial commitment from our community. But as we take a look for the average homeowner in Strongsville of $1.13 a day or $413 a year or $35 a month, that's an investment that I think is well worth the dollars as we put that back into the students of Strongsville.
As stated in the Strongsville City statistics, the #1 age group moving into Strongsville at this time is age group 65 and over. How can the city officials help the Strongsville Board of Education by attracting more families to increase enrollment?
Well, what I can do is I can give you the mayor's phone number. It's in my best interest to speak in where I'm an expert at, and attracting new families and attracting new homeowners. What we try to do from a school district perspective is to provide an educational service that is one of a kind. And as we've heard from our alumni, from Brian and from Jason, that's why they came back to Strongsville. So we're doing our part each and every day to make sure that people come here because they want their children in Strongsville City Schools. They want their families to be in Strongsville City Schools. And if you go to certain neighbors, it's starting to turn over. It's starting to turn where young families are coming in with children to help bring increased enrollment back to our district. And so the question about what the city can do in terms of engaging with and having new families come in, I would leave that to the city to answer. All I will say is that I know there's a new city plan that is working on how that's going to be a plan for the city moving forward.
Okay, Dr. Ryba, we're going to end it with this last question. Okay. There are other questions that didn't get answered. I know you're going to put any answers on our website, so they'll be there. So last question. If you could say anything to change the mind of a voter to yes and encourage them to support our district, what would it be?
Well, not to be redundant with what I already said, but I think what we do on a daily basis is a miracle. I think that we make a difference in the lives of kids. We put them on a path that they may otherwise not have been put on. And we do that not in isolation just with our administrators or teachers or support staff, but we do that in collaboration with our parents and our community. And so this is not my school district. It's not the board's school district. It's our school district. And what future do we want to have for the school district of Strongsville? Because I know what will happen to our school district if we don't continue to fund our schools. You can look at where I grew up. You can look at neighboring districts around us. And so that one thing that I would say is find that reason. It may not be because you have kids in the school district, but maybe you have a niece, a nephew, a granddaughter. Maybe it's about your property values and protecting what our community values in terms of a city and an education. We can find a lot of reasons why to vote no. But I would ask everybody to find that one reason to vote yes. And that one reason is our most precious resource, which is our children. So I thank you for your time. I thank you for being here. And I thank you for your support.